I truly appreciate everyone being here. This is amazing. There's people actually crowding into the hallway for this. So already nightmare number one, no one shows up. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Thank you, I appreciate that. And there might be a little bit more room on the sides if you guys want to come in. I feel a little bad. Thank you guys. You guys are my tribe right here. If you want to talk about editing first thing in the morning, day one at B&H. This is amazing. So I wanted to start this off with a story. And then we'll get into the editing and everything else. But I get a lot of phone calls in my line of work. Usually they're putting out fires and problems. And you know, one of these days I got a call from this woman, and she said, "Cliff, this is how the call started. I lost everything. It's all gone." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "It's all gone. Everything's gone. The last 10, 20 years gone." And I was like, "Well," and she, over the last 20 minutes or so, she tells me what's going on. And someone broke into her studio and stole everything. Everything. And she comes to me and she says, there was one thing that was not taken. And they took a drive and they stuck it under the door. They wedged it under the door. And they used that one drive to wedge under the door so they can get everything else quick as possible and stole everything. Has that ever happened to anybody? No. Has no one lost anything before? Oh, yes. Okay. So she proceeds to tell me what happens. And are we going to go live? I'm not sure you guys are seeing the screen yet. Yeah, we'll see. There we go. They have this on camera, and someone stole all of her stuff, and they left one drive underneath that door. And it turns out that one drive was the only reason why this film was made. Have you guys heard of this film? This is like the documentary made of the Dalai Lama. She spent over 10 years with him, living with his brother. And imagine that. And she had all her backup, she had everything in order, and then someone took it all in one fell swoop. That happened to me actually earlier this year as well. I was in Rome, I had everything stolen. In 10 minutes, went upstairs, came out, everything stolen. And it's not a stretch either, right? I mean, the fires in LA, that's not too far that's not in our distant past yet. And imagine what was lost in those times as well. And the precious memories. And you can imagine, right? I mean, you have everything in your house, and you know, you have this amazing painting, this beautiful photo on the wall, but then you have your life's work, and you have your precious family memories. What do you go in and save at that point? You know, which do you choose? So this is really important, right? And this is another image I took. I was in a military zone after Hurricane Sandy down in the Rockaways, and this is Nick standing in the foundation where his house was, where he grew up, and that was a toy he played with when he grew up. This is really powerful, important memories, right? And he was sitting there telling me in the foundation of his childhood home what it was like to grow up there. Right, and I want to start this because I want to give perspective of why this is so important. I mean, look at you guys here right now. This is amazing. And I'm going to get to all the fun stuff. I'm going to get to the automation and how to save you time and all that. But there's another deeper meaning behind this. These are really powerful, important memories that we want to preserve. And what if the world never saw your photographs? And it doesn't have to be a storm. It doesn't have to be a natural disaster. It doesn't have to be a fire, flood, or theft. It could just be the fact that you never shared them, right? It doesn't have to be lost. It's lost if you've never shared them in the first place. You know, it's a perspective that I keep with me because I see this all too often with my students. Maybe there wasn't a fire, maybe there wasn't a flood, but they're overwhelmed and they don't know what to do. So to the rest of the world, this is what they look like. They never share their magic. They never share their vision. They never share their voice with the world. Does that resonate with some of you? Maybe you don't know how to do it. Maybe you're just overwhelmed. Maybe you don't have the best tools to it. So I want to start this off by making two promises. And I do this inside my bootcamp. I do this in my academies. I do this in my workshops. I do this with all of my students in the coaching and the private one-on-ones and all that. Time. I'm acutely aware of the time. I have 34 minutes already. But our time is precious. All right? Our time is the most important thing we have on this planet. That is a single thing that is truly the only precious resource that we can never get more back of. And we all want to. We never know how much we have. So a good part of this today is going to talk to you about how to put your workflow in autopilot And what that's going to do, I promise you, is I'm going to give you your time back. The time you invest today, the time you invest with me, the time you invest in my workshops and my boot camp that's coming up and all the other stuff that I've got going on, my community I just built. I do this and I did that to give you your time back because I know how precious that is. It is all too real, and all of us have lost people, and all of us know that on a very deeply personal level. And the other one is legacy. That's something I talk about in my boot camp all the time with my students. Perspective. It's not just about, how do we make things fast? And I know it's in New York. I've been in here for a day and a half. And I'm like, I got to run here. I got to run here. There's not enough time. But we need to build our legacy. This is really important. I want to help you build a portfolio that you're proud of. And I want you to think in terms of something that outlasts you, right? That's a much bigger perspective. That's a much bigger picture than just, it's overwhelming. How do I organize this? Think about generations from now. People being able to see your voice, your vision, your photos, your work, your passion, right? Will you be there to ensure that it gets seen, or will it just disappear? So I really want you to think about that. I start all my workshops with this for that very reason. It's that broader perspective. I want to make sure that your work isn't going anywhere, even if there is a fire, flood, or theft. Or even if you just haven't shared your photos, or you're not proficient enough, and so the world never gets to see your work. I want to give you a way to have a legacy and keep that legacy. I'm in the will of a lot of my students, believe it or not. I didn't ask to be in the will, but this is really powerful, important stuff. All right, so your journey, right? This is what I cover with my students. We don't have time to cover all of that. I wish we did. But clarity, we're going to cover that today. Right? I want to give you this clarity, the calm confidence of knowing how this all works and having it do the work for you. Right? That's a really powerful thing to keep in mind. And we'll talk about voice as well. When your images are liberated from your hard drive. So I want to make it just as easy to get them onto your hard drive, and just as importantly, easy to get them off of your hard drive. And that's something that no one really talks about. How do we organize it? Great, that's fine. We'll talk about workflow. But how easy is it to share it with others? Because that's really, really important. Does this sound familiar to anybody here? I could probably ask everyone questions, and just in the interest of time, plus you guys are dark out there. It's just all the lights are on me. I don't like that. But I'm sure this, if I know a thing or two, it's because I've seen a thing or two, right? And this comes from all of my students. Multiple catalogs, things, duplicates. It's a mess. What do I do with video? On and on and on. I answer all these questions. We're not going to have time to do that today. But ultimately, this is under the umbrella of what the heck do I do with my images after I press the shutter? What happens to them? And how do I save time in order to keep them organized and safe and shared? Because it's chaos. Sometimes you guys feel like this. I get calls from students all the time. I'm not kidding. I actually call them patients. I was with one of my students. My mom calls, and of course I got to answer. Mom's calling, and I'm like, Mom, I can't talk right now. I'm with a student, and he's a doctor, so it's okay. And he goes, Tell your mom you're with a patient. But this is what it feels like, right? It's phototherapy is what I want to relabel it. It's overwhelming, isn't it? Like, what do we do with these photos? And so I want to show you a little bit about how we go from chaos to clarity. In order to do that, we need a strategy. We need a strategy that's going to work all the time. And that's a big difference. I want to jump right into this. I can give you my background too much, but I've had a lot of experience doing this. I work directly with Adobe and their Summit. I'm on their beta programs. I work directly with the product engineers. I've taught this at B&H for years. You guys are amazing. They give me their platform whenever I want to. The US government I've consulted with. I'm an adjunct professor at NYU, so I teach this stuff. And I can go on and on. Apple Creative Council, ASMP on the board of directors here in New York for several years. And I started this thing called Projections, so I went back in New York. All these things are coming back to me. Lindblad expeditions and teaching on their boats and building a whole training platform for them. And now I just built my community. But the thing I'm most proud of is the time I spent with my students one-on-one. These 3-hour sessions, it gives me perspective of what you guys are going through, not just me, what you guys are going through. That's really important. Most people you're going to see on stage, and that's fine, but most people, most presenters, most YouTube videos, most books you're going to find, they're going to be showing you what works for them. right? And what I realized through decades, like over 10 or 15 years I've been doing this one-on-one with students, is I've learned what works for you. And what I did was, after I've done this for so long, there's commonalities. And I realized I'm onto something here. It's not just this works for me. This works for you. This will work for you all the time. Even if you got your cell phone there, it will work for your mobile devices as well. But if it doesn't work all the time, it doesn't work, right? That's a big part of that legacy that I promised you. This is something that will work all the time. There's never a scenario where it won't work. And I've tested this out across the world, across working professionals and grandmas looking at family photos and everyone in between. This will work. So what we need is a master plan. And this is what it looks like. I spent a long time kind of really diving deep into this and teasing this out and teaching this over a long enough period of time. And what I developed was flow, but it's really an ecosystem, right? And we want to create gallery. We want to simplify things. We want to have Power One. I'm going to walk you through this. Putting a workflow in autopilot, like we talked about. And we're going to do float and flow. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. Auto magic won't make sense yet, but it will. But what we need is an ecosystem. Because if we have an ecosystem, and you guys know what an ecosystem is, right? If you have an ecosystem, things just go where they belong. You don't have to tell the water where to go. You don't have to make any decisions. It knows what to do automatically. This is the solution. I'm not raining on your parade here. This is the solution. It's automatic. If I develop something for you that works in the background automatically all the time, what it does is remove you from the equation. And I was on the fence about whether or not to say this, but this is New York, so I'll say it anyway. The problem here with most of our workflows, the problem is us. The problem is you. Because you're the one that has to do the work. You're the one that has to organize it. You're the one that has to import it. You're the one that has to back it up. You're the one that has to keyword it. You're the one that has to decide what folders it goes in, right? But if you don't have to make those decisions, not only will they get done faster and automated, but they're going to be consistent. That's the other problem with us. I'll say us. Because it's true. We're inconsistent. Sometimes it goes here, sometimes it goes there. Sometimes it goes that folder, sometimes it goes in that folder, right? So we're going to eliminate that. That's my favorite way to solve problems. You eliminate them. You don't have to really solve them, you just eliminate them. So I want to focus on two things, float and flow. And the reason why I call this flow instead of workflow, I used to call it the ultimate workflow, is because I remove the work. If you remove the work, you don't have to do the work, and then it gets done for you. And that's what I mean by an ecosystem. So in order to float, this took a long time to figure out, how do I really spell float here? But in a single click, I can automate your workflow. And what it's going to do is it's going to find the memory card, it's going to find the new photos, it's going to filter any duplicates, find faces. That's a lot of Fs. It's going to launch Lightroom, it's going to label it, it's going to organize, it's going to auto-adjust, tagged it. I wrote this on the wall with a black permanent marker on Adobe's headquarters in San Francisco. Not too long ago, actually. And they asked me to do it, too, just for the record, because this is being recorded. And everyone else in the team was like, what the hell are you talking about? We're going to teach you how to float and how to flow. All right, so enough of that. Let's get into the good stuff here. So I want to meet you guys where you are. I just grabbed a bunch of random images here. And what I like to do is call it chaos. Right? So if I open a folder, there's going to be 3 places you're going to find your images in Lightroom. And I'm using Lightroom Classic, but it's a similar process if you're using the desktop as well, for the most part. You're going to find your images in 3 places. You're going to find them in folders. You're going to find them in keywords over here. And you can also find them in collections. And what I see a lot is people get this confused. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And people show you how they do it, which is fine. I get that. But what works for them doesn't work for you. What works for them didn't work for me. And what worked for them didn't work for all of my students. And so when I spoke with Adobe, and I spoke to a lot of different experts, and I did a lot of testing out, and I crowdsourced my testing because I work with my students all the time. So it gives me an interesting perspective. I realized there is a better way to do this. So the first mistake we make, is that we try and put everything in folders. And that makes sense, right? We actually call them files and folders. Like they're still pieces of paper, manila envelopes that we put in a cabinet drawer, right? Because when we have these visuals, it makes sense. I don't know if we need these visuals anymore, though. It doesn't help us. So when we're like, okay, where do we find things? We find them in folders. We put them in folders, and then we go back to those folders to find things later. The problem with using folders, though, so I just call this chaos. So you might have folders that look like this. It's a lot better if I look at this screen because of the glare. Maybe of architecture, right? Maybe of clients. These are common folder structures that I see all the time. We have landscape, we have trips, we have wildlife. And so when I look at these images, these might fit into these categories, right? So I might take this and say, well, this is architecture. So let's just drag this inside of architecture. Now that will light up. Well, that's easy enough. Okay. Let's go down. Let's skip down on the bottom. Let's skip around a little bit. Here we go. We have night photography here. Well, I don't have a folder for that yet, so maybe we create one. So I'm going to create a new folder, and I'll call this night photography. I think I spelled that right. And I will include the photos. Otherwise, I'm creating an empty folder here. All right, good. So the problem is, well, this is also in Trona Pinnacles, right? So then I have to create another one for Trona Pinnacles. Well, what do I do now? Do I put it in Trona? Do I put it by location? Do I put it by subject? Here I have another night photography shot. Well, where does this go? This is out in Lofoten, Norway. Does this go in travel? Does this go, and if I'm shooting this for a client, where does that go? I shot this for a client for the iPhone Photography School, right? It's another project that we were filming. What do I do with this? Do I put it in my clients? Because I have a client folder. I can put it right here in clients. I can name the client. But this is also travel, right? Maybe it's a seascape or another term. The problem is your images can't be in more than one folder. I think you guys are seeing that. I saw that almost immediately. And I'm still shocked that a lot of my students, when they first come to me, they're being taught to organize things by folders. And the problem with folders is that they can only be in one folder at a time. So the solution is keywords. So this is what the average keyword list would look like. Right? For most of us, it's this dumb keyword, and we have puppies and rainbows and random keywords. That's not going to work. But our images can be in keywords, and multiple keywords can be applied to our images in a way that our images can't be in multiple folders. Problem solved. Does that make sense? But how do we find our images? We need to decouple or uncouple where we put our images, the folders, because they have to live somewhere, from where we find our images, or how we find our images. Right? You have to describe them in order to find them. So that's what we do. Now, when we describe something, I can go around the room, and I've done this for so long that it's always the same three things. I ask people, describe your best three images. Describe the three images you can't forget about. Describe the three images that has had so much impact in your life. And they do, and I go around the room, especially in the boot camps that I do, and they always describe it in one of three ways. Who they were with, what they were doing, and where they were. Every single photo you've ever shot and ever will, every photo you can think of, I promise you will fit in one of those three categories. And organization is that simple. It's just giving you a place to put things. If you have a place to put things, like I had a place, I'm leaving right after this show to fly out to the Dolomites. I didn't even have to look that my passport was in my laptop bag because it's always there. I have a place where it belongs. My socks, however, I can never seem to find my socks because I don't have a place to put them. Right? And if you can't find your keys, probably because you don't have a place to put them. If I give you a place to put things, it's going to be organized. There's some bass in the room here. I like this. This is getting dramatic. All right, so who, what, and where? Every photo. Your job is to either delete these keywords, which is my favorite way to solve problems, or to put them in one of these three categories. All right, so we have a place to put our images. We have folders. We have a place to find our images. We need to describe our images. If someone downstairs has said, oh, you have to meet Cliff, he's awesome. Well, what does he look like? Describe him, right? He's wearing all black. He's dressed like Johnny Cash. He's a pretty good-looking guy. He's going to be up on stage on the fourth floor. So you need to describe things in order to find them again. So this isn't going to work. Let's fix it. Right? Because I want to show you what this looks like in reality when I work with students and how we're actually going to solve these problems. I want to meet you where we are. This is what I call BC, before Cliff. It's just chaos, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to remove it. Before I remove it, I want to show in Finder so I can find this folder again. I'll hit Command-Tab to go back, and I'm going to remove this. All right, this is where the rubber hits the road. Now I'm going to grab this whole thing. Your chaos is going to be a lot more than 79 images. I've had students that had 10, 8 terabyte drives, more than that, shooting for decades. I really have seen it all. And every single one of them say the same thing. Cliff, you've never seen anything this bad before, have you? Yeah, I have. My own. Okay. We need a place to put it. Next thing, we want to keep things as simple as possible. Have anyone had any good ideas? We want to keep things as simple as possible. How many catalogs should I use? 1. My students are not allowed to answer that question, but yes, the answer is 1. In fact, I'll give you a little hint right now. Whenever I ask a question, probably if there's a number involved, it's going to be 1. Right? We want to simplify things. So I'm going to go back to over here, and I'm going to give us a place to put it. I'm going to call this, very original, all photographs. Because guess what? This is where all your pictures are going to be. You want one drive and one folder where all of your pictures live. This way, when you back it up, and I get the phone call from someone that says, I lost everything, Cliff, which I get more often than you think. And I actually fix it for them more often than you think, too. Especially if I'm involved, because I already backed it up and they don't even know it. You need a place to put things, and you want one parent folder. If that one folder is safe on another drive, if that's backed up through Time Machine if you're using Apple or a Mac, if you have Backblaze that's backed up online all the time without you thinking about it, which is I have to save the rear ends of a lot of my students because they forget I even set it up for them. I do that on day 1. Now we have a place to put things. This is where we make it float. All right, let's do this. We're looking at chaos. I want to include all the subfolders here. That's fine, right? Because I put some images in subfolders. Now it's looking at all the stuff. I want to move these images. And I want to make sure that they're new photos. And what we're setting up right now is something that I do this for the students, like first hour in the boot camp that I do. Basically the boot camp, I just walk you through every single step of this process, right? I'm going to speed things along a little bit. This is the Cliff Notes version of this. But we have our source, we have our chaos. This could be all of your pictures. We have all of the photos here, and from here on in, it's only going to move them, and it's only going to show you the new pictures from here on in. And then we have all this stuff. Standard's fine, you don't have to worry about it. I close these down for my students. This is critical. Don't import suspected duplicates. That's really, really important, right? This is how you can keep your images on your memory card as an instant backup when you're traveling, which is what I'm doing right now. In fact, if we have time, I'll show you that. That's done. Standard, don't import suspected duplicates. Forget about the rest. We don't need to do anything. Close it up. You'll never see it again. File renaming. Do we need to rename our files? No. It doesn't help. You know when you rename your files? When you export your images. Because your clients or your friends don't want to see Venice 2, Venice 17, Venice 35. You rename on export. You don't need to rename your files now. So we don't do anything. Apply and import, yes, right? You're going to see Cliff's auto adaptive preset here. That's proprietary, but it's very easy to do, but I do it for my students. That will auto adjust your pictures. And then we have our destination. This is important. So now we have to choose how we're going to organize our pictures. And I told you we're going to automate literally everything. All right? How do I automate the organization so I don't have to choose the folder that it's in? What's the one thing I can do? And the only thing I can do to automate my photos. What's the one thing that every photo you ever have shot and ever will have in common? Some of you guys have watched some of my classes, haven't you? Time is the answer. We can't escape it, can we? I can. I'm down to 15 minutes now. I wish I could. That's the one thing that every photo you've ever shot and ever will have in common. Whether you're in China or whether you're in New York. Whether someone else took the photo, whether you're using a drone or a phone. It doesn't matter. Even if it's those old scan photos, because there's always one wise ass in the room, what about those old scan photos? Yeah, you have to put the time in, but there is still a time you took the photo. Right? And from here to the ends of the earth, every time you take a photo in 20 years and 50 years, If this is a legacy catalog, it will never change. Everything I show you, you'll only have to do once, you will never need to do again. That's really important because your time I take very seriously, and I appreciate you guys taking the time here. So from here on in, as long as you make sure the clocks are right in your camera. I actually checked right before I got on stage. But then again, we'll be in Italy and it'll be off again, right? So we have to keep track. Some of the newer cameras will pair with your phone automatically. All right, by date, this is how we do it. We have our parent folder. Where is that? Not here. And not here. We have this under, I think we put this under Bild, right? Yeah, it's in here. And here's our all photographs, right? Because I actually do have my own all photographs. So I created one for Bild. This will never change from here on in. What I'm showing you, like everything else I show you in this class and everywhere else I teach this, you never need to do again, basically. That's why I'm taking a little bit more of my time, because this is foundational stuff, right? So if I can't show you everything and breeze over so fast, let me show you some things that are really practical here. This you'll never need to change, as long as you have one large enough folder. The only scenario where you'll change that is if you're in my scenario, I'm on the road full time. I have a new photograph, so I keep on my internal drive, and then I have an old photograph that goes on the giant drives or the external drives, right? If you have one large drive and most of you are working at home, this is all you need. All photographs, and we break it down, and this is very important, we break it down by year, month, and day. So I can roll it up by year, I can roll it up by month, I can roll it up by day. This is how it gets broke down from here on in. I will roll that up. In fact, usually what I do for my students, nice little trick, is I turn this on, affected folders only, and now they can't choose anything else. Because I always get, well, the computer did it for me and now it's messed up. And I close all those up. Those don't ever need to change again. In fact, you could even save this as a preset if you wanted to. We'll skip that for now, and I'll import. And what this will do is break it down by year, month, and day. If you want to, you can right-click, you can show parent folder, and there's that one single most important folder on my hard drive now. This scales. You can do this for hundreds of thousands of photos in one click if you wanted to. Call me before you do that, please. Disclaimer, it's on the record. Because what you need is, you actually need to save the metadata if you did any edits, stars, flags, keywords, stuff like that, right? Save it first, please. Then remove and re-import. I can automate your entire life's work in a single click and give you a legacy catalog that will continue for the rest of time. There's literally not a decision you need to make from here on in, because Lightroom knows exactly what to do. And when you go into Lightroom preferences over here, I'll brighten this up a little bit. There we go. Under Lightroom Sync, now I can do the same thing. Specify location of folder, and I can choose that same pictures folder over here, and I could do B&H Bild, all photographs, and do that same year, month, and day. Same structure. And from here on in, every photo I take with my phone, as long as you do a couple settings on your phone, I don't have time to get into today, but basically auto import. Go in the preferences, go to auto import. From here on in, every photo you ever take has been automated. You never ever need to choose that, to change that again, ever. There's never a time where that will ever change for you. Does that make sense for everybody? Okay, now it's going to be your job to go through these, and we need to put the keywords in there. If it's a who, we're going to automate it using face detection. We have auto face detection. And we're going to click on this. You can actually turn auto face detection on in your preferences. And so it's going to recognize every face in every image and build a thumbnail that you can use to find all of the faces. That's how we do the who. The where is quite easy. We just create a folder structure, right? So this is in Latvia. So what I would do is I would go to where. I would create a keyword tag inside. And I would say Europe. That's all. I'll put inside of where. Inside of where, I would say Latvia. This is when I was filming a course with the iPhone Photography School on Lightroom Mobile. I think it's the most widely distributed class on Lightroom Mobile in the world because they're pretty damn good marketers, better than I am. But here's a nice little tip. Don't go to Latvia. It's beautiful, but don't go there in January. So we're going to add these images, and now we have these organized. And when I put them in Latvia, you're going to see keywords and containing keywords that goes all the way up this list. So we create a hierarchy, all the images above that hierarchy. If I had Empire State Building and I keyworded a picture of Empire State Building, it would get keyworded Midtown, New York City, New York State, United States, North America, inside of where. All just one keyword. And it goes all the way up from there, right? So we're automating things. We're scaling things now. That's really important. So we got our folders. This is where we store images. We have our keywords. This is where we find our images. What about collections? What else is there? Why do we have collections at all? This is where I see people get most confused about. We have collections when there's a purpose, right? We want to make a book. We want to make a slideshow. We want to have a website, build a portfolio, right? All these, you just want to share photos from your last trip with some friends and family. All those purposes around one commonality, which is how the heck do we share our images? How do we get them off of our hard drive? Does that make sense? So we automate the import now. Year, month, day, you never need to change that again. Just make sure the clocks are right in your camera. We have our keywords here. And then we have our collections. I can automate both of those things. So our collections would be something like, this is the most important one. And we start from the end goal in mind. I need to give you a plan. I need to give you a purpose. I need to give you a direction, right? It's a guided photo strategy. I call it a GPS. Or a cliff photo strategy. Call it a CPS if you want. All right? So we're going to create a collection set, and I'm going to call this portfolio, because this is the most important thing. You need a direction. Most of us never want to make up our minds, so we call it a portfolio. And inside of that, now we need some direction. What do we want to say? What kind of images resonate with us? Choose, right? So we create a collection. But I'm not going to create a regular collection here. I want to create a smart collection instead. Because if I create a regular collection, I have to put it in landscape every time. I have to put it in clients every time. I have to put it in night photography every time. And if I edit another photo and I find a better one, I got to remove it from that collection. If it's in multiple collections, because it's in my book and my slideshow and my portfolio and my website, I got to remove that old one, put the new one, and you guys get the picture. So it's not fun, and then we just stop doing it. And this is probably what happens to most of us in the room, right? If I create a smart collection now, let's just say landscape for now. We'll do a couple. Landscape. I just need anything that I want to share, right? So if I want to organize my images, now I have to decide, how do I find them? So I'm going to show you how they're going to find you. Two things that they're going to find you. A word and a number. A star and a tag, a keyword tag. If you have both of those things, every image you ever think of, you'll find in 2 clicks, but really if you do this, it's 1 click, right? So if I say landscape here, I'm gonna say 5 stars, because of my portfolio, and I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wanna put 5 spaces, because if I do, it'll show up on my phone at the very top. If I do 4-star images, 4 spaces, 3-star images, 3 spaces, right? So I do landscape. And I'm going to say anything with the keyword, under other metadata, it's hidden. Anything with the keyword contains landscape, right? And nothing's going to show up. Because we need one more thing to make this work. We need a place to put our images that we want to put in our portfolio. So we need genres, portfolio, right? When we have this, now I can say, what are these things that my images have in common? My favorite images, the ones that resonate with me most. What do they have in common? I'm going to create a keyword tag inside, and I'm going to call that landscape, if I can spell it. Caps lock. There we go. Where were you? Put inside a portfolio, great. And then I want you guys to determine what are those other threads, what are those other factors that you love about your images, because these are the lenses through which you're going to recognize the beauty of your own work. What's that thread? Do you shoot macro? Do you shoot details? Do you shoot portraits, right? Maybe it's night photography or night photography. That's fine too, right? You start filling these out. And now when I go back into my images, I go day by day, and we start to filter through these. Any images I want to see again now, I don't work on the 90% of images that I don't want to see. I only look at the 10. I'm not interested in culling. I call it the process of promotion. We want to promote the ones that we want to see, right? So this is Venice. I want to promote these. This is a 5-star. Maybe this is a 4-star. This is something I want to share, but not something that I want to necessarily show up in my portfolio. This is a 5-star. When I go over here, these are landscapes now. Second, I make this a 5-star, and I tag these as landscapes. I can just tag all these as landscapes, all the way up here. Command K, landscape, right? If it's a 5-star, and now I go through this one, that's a 5-star. I'm just making a number 5. That's a 5-star. Guess what's happening? It's starting to populate. Now this is getting somewhere. This is getting automated. I'm automating the import. I'm automating partly the sharing, but the problem is I can't share a smart collection. This is why I have this auto magic. I set up another tool I work with a developer on, and I can do this. Auto magic. And I don't have time to show you exactly how this works, but trust me, it does. Any smart collection now, the problem with smart collections in Lightroom is that we can't share them. It gathers them, but we can't share them. Now, we can actually share them. I have this little checkbox here. This shows up, and now I can share it. Any smart collection I build. So once we build, this is what I mean by an ecosystem. You identify the types of photos that you want to see. Landscapes, portraits, macro, detail, whatever it is. Maybe it's locations, maybe it's Venice, maybe it's New York City. Right? Whatever those threads are, you create channels, just like an ecosystem, just like a canyon does with water when it rains. And it channels and floods or magnetically gets drawn into these smart collections, right down here. These smart collections get mirrored and duplicated into these super smart collections that then I can sync, sort, and share. And once we set this ecosystem up, everything flows automatically. In fact, if I take a picture and I star it in camera, that flows through my whole ecosystem. So then we can get really creative with this. I can create a smart collection for all the pictures I take in Italy starting tomorrow and say, all the pictures that have Italy and have 4 stars show up, right? And this starts to get built out. So we don't have time to build this whole thing out, but I want to show you what this looks like, right? So let's see if we can demonstrate this. I'm going to open up Lightroom and see if I can open up another catalog here. And what you're going to notice, by the way, is I've automated the keywords as well. So I use a program called Xire that's going to automatically keyword the images. So now we're automatically organizing the folders. We're automatically keywording the images so we can find them again. And then we're automatically sharing the images. In one click, I can automate the organization, the edit, the tagging, the keywording, and the sharing. And if I go into this here and I say make public, and I create a collection of this, I can share that collection with all of you right now. We're friends and family, even before I leave on a trip. And as I go through my trip, it's going to bring images into this collection for me. So it's really, really powerful once you set this up to do this in a way that is completely automated. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, let me see. I heard someone else, I gotta watch this again. Yeah, I hear you. Once this is set up, I promise you, everything is gonna get a whole lot easier from there. All right, I'm gonna show you this catalog here. This is one of my students' catalogs. And actually, let's choose a different catalog. I think it's this one. And wait for the plugin to close. And what I do for my students is once I set this up, everything that they do from here on in flows through the system. It flows into their catalog, and it flows out of their catalog, right? So while we wait for that to close, what we can do, how much time do we have? Another 4 minutes or so. Okay. We'll wait for this to close, and then I'll go on with it. But I will bring up this slideshow in the meantime. Right? So I want to talk to you about this bootcamp. I know this is a lot of information I'm throwing at you out there, but once you see this is built, I promise you, this is going to completely revolutionize how you work with your photos. It truly is a very impressive system and something that helps you build a legacy. You'll never need to change this again. So let me show you what this looks like. There we go. I'll restart this one more time. So this is something I work with students for several years, building out, basically going through their whole life's work. And when it's done, they're so extremely proud of what this looks like. Let me show you what that looks like. I just picked this up from one of my students who lives in New York City last night. I was like, Jane, can I come over and just demo your catalog? And she loved the idea of it. So let me show you what that looks like. And then we'll take some questions from here. So when you go through your folders day by day, and let me show you what that looks like too. That's fine. Let's choose this folder here. Every year, you'll see a green means you went through it. And what you do is you go every year, every month, and every day. And you just choose the images that you want to see again. You don't worry about duplicates. Don't worry about similar images. Don't worry about deleting. Please don't delete any of your photos. It's such a waste of your time. Spend your time looking for the good ones. It's almost 10% every single time. Almost every single time my students, I look at the math. It's 10% of their photos that they actually want to see again. So all you have to do is mark the photos that you want to see again, not the ones you don't, and you simply filter by 3 stars. 3 stars are the images you want to see again. And you do that day by day until you're done with each day. And then you click on month, and all you're doing on the month level is seeing all the photos that you want to share again. Those are 4 stars, because only the ones that you're going to share are the ones you're going to edit. You're not going to edit anything you're not going to share, right? And that's 10% of the 10% of images. So now we're just whittling down the number of images, or you could just edit the first photo you come across, which is what we most do, like, ooh, this is going to be good. No. You want to do it multiple passes. 3 stars, get rid of 90% of your photos. And what it does is train you to think, look for the good ones. Look for the good ones. Look for the good ones. I only need to see 1 photo of every scene. I don't need to see more than 1. So I bring it down. Once I do that day by day, I go to the month. Once I go to each month and those are done, I go to the year. And the year I filter by 5s. These are my favorite images. This is your greatest hits of that year. You're 1 click away, Command L for library filter to turn that off, and I'll see all the photos I took around it, but then I can warp back out, Command L, and I'm just seeing my favorite images. Imagine going through your whole life's work, your entire catalog of images, and clicking on any year and only seeing your favorite images. Clicking on any month and only seeing your favorite images for that month, in a way that you can bring it down. You can go down to 4s, you can go down to 3s. You can go up to 3s, up to 4s. You're just warping in and out, and you're just seeing your greatest hits. Imagine in 1 click being able to find just your favorite images. And maybe your favorite images that, I don't know, have a dog in it. Just like that. Every image you've ever shot, well, in 2 clicks, you'll be able to find it. Just like that. If we keyword it, now, we're using XI. I set this up for all my students, which is automatically keywording. So we're automatically organizing through date, automatically keywording, and now we're automating the entire sharing as well. All of these. So this is what I set up for my students here. You'll see stars, right? All of your photos. I don't need to see 44,000 images, and that's nothing. Guys, I got a lot more than that. I don't need to see all of them. I can in 1 click look at all my photographs. But I can adjust in 1 click, see only images I want to see again. Only images I want to share, and just those are the ones I work out with my students to edit, and then just the ones in the portfolio. That's it. And this is my portfolio that builds itself. The second either XR picks up on an abstract or an architecture or acetique or beach life or birds, this is what your portfolio looks like at a glance. And this builds in real time automatically. All you have to do is star, apply a number to it, and that number means something. 3 means you want to see again. 4 means you want others to see. 5 means wants everyone to see. The numbers mean something. It's not arbitrary. It's just a 3 or this a 4. You know what it means. And when you apply that number with a description that you have under genres here on the right-hand side, that's how it gets into these channels. That's the ecosystem at work. This is your portfolio building in real time. You never need to change this again. Your grandkids can pick this up and understand what this is about. It builds in real time. And if you take something away, if you're like, you know what, this isn't as strong, you bring that down, that gets removed from all the other scenarios. Right? So you don't need to manage folders anymore. It's like, I think of it as like these little minions. You just tag them and they just go where they need to go. Right? We're magnetically drawing them in, and we're creating a purpose. What is it that you love to shoot? Create a genre, tag it with these stars, and watch your portfolio build itself and continue to build itself. So that's the whole ecosystem in a nutshell. I wanted to leave a few minutes for questioning here. Now you're going to see that auto magic. What that is basically is just a mirror copy of everything below. And what that allows me to do is to share all of these auto-populated collections. I just have to click that share icon here. That's it. Now I can share all the smart collections that were locked on my computer before, liberating your photos from your hard drive and automatically sharing them with the world. And then your homework is going to be, if you work with me, it's going to be, all right, well, I just opened up the floodgates for you guys, right? I want you now to go through your stars, and I want to look at your 5s. Are these all 5s? Bring them down if they're not. And when you do, they'll be removed from all of your portfolio galleries. Go to your 4s. Are these all photos that you actually want to take the time to edit? If they are, keep them. If they're not, bring it down. It disappears. You don't have to worry about it. It's all right here. And you just go 5, 4s, 3s. And that goes across all of your folders, across all of your catalog, across all of your collections. Everything is linked now. And I can automate the import of your images, and now we've just automated the export of your images. That gets tied to Adobe Portfolio that can bring in all these collections in a heartbeat, just like that. And so now we've completely finished that ecosystem, right? I don't have time to demonstrate because I want to allow a few minutes. I know we're getting pretty close. Yeah, right? How are we at time? Are we over a few minutes or are we under?
We are over a few minutes.
Okay,
actually,
okay. So I'll allow for some, I was like, oh, I got 3 minutes left. No, I do want to take some time for questions here. I just wanted to go back to this last slide before I do. This is a very, very short preview. This takes me 2 days to go over with you. And I promise you I respect your time. You spend 2 days doing this, this will transform your photography for the rest of your life. And I do not say that lightheartedly. This is what it looks like inside the community. Because I realize giving you guys 2 days to teach you this helps, but giving you a year to implement this with my coaching and the camaraderie of the community, supporting you guys, motivating you, inspiring you, that makes a big difference. And of course, there's a retreat that we're doing that's going to be pretty cool too in Sedona, so I wanted to share that. All right, I'll open up for questions. If you guys have any questions, you can reach out to me here.
Yeah, is there a maximum of photograph on a single catalog in Lightroom?
There used to be. That was a very pertinent question years ago. I have over 1.5 million pictures, which I thought was a lot until I spoke to a gentleman named Rich Harrington who told me that someone else has over 3 million. If there is a limit, we've never hit it. So don't worry about it. Yes. Yes. The bootcamp is live through Zoom. Yeah, so all over, I do it 11 a.m. on the Eastern Standard, so folks on the West Coast can join in, and then some people in Europe as well, which might actually even be me. The 12th and the 13th. Yeah.
And we have time for one more question. That gentleman right there in the second row.
You talk about sharing. Where are you sharing? Are you using SmugMug, Adobe,
Yeah.
or something else?
So I use all of the question is, you talk about sharing. I use all of the above. I build custom portfolios for my students. My personal website is on Squarespace, and I use SmugMug as a backend for client-facing image delivery. And I use Adobe Portfolio because it's frictionless. Everything I just showed you shows up live in Adobe Portfolio. It's extremely powerful. Doesn't cost you anything if you already have the Adobe subscription. And it automates getting your images off of your drive and into the world as seamlessly as I can automate getting it into your hard drive in the first place.
Absolutely. Thank you. Let's get a big round of applause one more time for Mr. Clifford Pickett, everybody.
Thank you very much, guys.